bet it's good.
Oh man, they're right. It's basically a racing game, sort of a shitty version of Mario Kart. The steering is so unresponsive that I can barely stay on the track. Oh, come on, come on! And I'm always afraid that it's going to glitch out, that I'm going to fall through the boundaries and into the unprogrammed area of limbo. Another one I've been told about is Sonic Shuffle on Dreamcast. That's right, the last of the Sega consoles, and a good console to go out with. But the same can't be said for this game. After you get through about 10 minutes of story footage and tiresome load screens, the game finally begins, only to bombard you with more text.
So that's
Just
the
as I
last
thought,
one.
it's a board game video game, with some mediocre mini-games in between
Wait, this is
players'
Mario
turns.
Party!
Basically,
Mario Party!
this is Sega's take on Mario Party, but unfortunately didn't turn out as well. Another big request is Shadow the Hedgehog on the Nintendo GameCube. A Sega game on a Nintendo console?
I have never played this game, but I heard the music and it's so good. これさ、遊んだことないんだけど、なんかすごいなんか楽曲がめっちゃかっこいいんだよね。Yeah, the music is so cool.
Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. Sega and Nintendo were the biggest competitors of my generation, but times have changed. I don't even know who Shadow is, and when did characters in Sonic games start carrying guns? Once again, you have to sit through a movie before the game starts. It's pretty spectacular, but why is it always like this now? Is that what kids do nowadays? Sit around and watch video games? You take control of Shadow, with Sonic following behind. You run, you jump, you shoot. It's pretty self-explanatory. I think it's much more fun than the other games, but I find it a little tough to avoid losing my rings all the time. This homing attack tends to get me killed, and I keep falling down pits.
Every time when I see the character from Sonic losing their rings, it reminds me there's a parody from Smosh, I guess? Yeah, it was Smosh that... It was a parody video about what if the game is real, in real life like that. And then there was I guess, robbery. Those guys were beating up Sonic to get a rings from him, and then they're like keep beating the Sonic up and saying, "Hey, he's not giving us a ring anymore. He's just bleeding," like that. Oh my god.
Other than that, I don't have much to say about it. I feel like I just awoke from a frozen sleep. Last I knew, Sonic games were in 2D, Nintendo and Sega were rivals, guns were for Contra, Sonic's nemesis was called Dr. Robotnik, now he's going by Dr. Eggman, Diddy Daddy, villain formerly known as whatever. What the hell happened here? This is about as new as I'll go. Sorry, I'm going back to NES. That's what I know best. One of my biggest NES requests since day one is Where's Waldo? First, you have to be familiar with...
Oh my god, I remember this. I read the book. It was in my school though. I read a book about this one. Woody.
They were incredible. As a kid, I stared at these pages for hours.
I know this one too.
Illustrations were amazing, and there was so much going on, it could keep your eyes busy exploring for a long time. Of course, the objective was to find Waldo amongst other hidden things. Well, how do you take this and turn it into an NES game? This is what happens. It's as if the pages of the book have been chewed up, digested, and shat out an 8-bit ass. How can you find Waldo in this? Where the fuck is Waldo? He doesn't even know where he is. And that's all you do. You just move the square around the screen and hit the button if you think Waldo is in that area. Even when I do find him, I still don't know which one he's supposed to be.
Me too.
It's really not hard anyway. You can just keep trying every space on the screen until you win. The only thing that happens if you pick the wrong area, you lose time on the timer. But it still seems like a better option to guess your way through the game rather than actually trying to find Waldo with your own eyes. In between the stages, you're forced into watching Waldo walk from one place to the next. And he never walks in a straight line. He just wanders all over the place, like he doesn't have a clue where he's going. Why do we need this cutscene anyway? Couldn't we just go straight to the next stage?
He walks so slow too. 아르크노세.
There's a few stages that are different, like finding Waldo in the dark, a crappy slot machine, and one of those indescribable shit shows that reminds me of that part in Terminator 2 on Game Boy where you have to connect the wires, or that fucking nightmare in Bill and Ted. And once you've completed all the stages, Waldo goes to the moon and the game's over.
Huh?
I finished the whole game in 6 minutes.
What? 6 minutes?
Imagine buying this piece of shit for $50. Nowadays, releasing a game this short would never be excusable. Well, anyway, we have a lot more games to get through, so stay tuned for part 2. I'm gonna go get the game.
Oh my gosh! 6 minutes?
He's
That's
playing some
insane.
games, the worst he
Nope,
recalls.
right,
Gonna
Idol.
find out which one sucks
6
the most balls. The
minutes? That's
angry
insane.
video game nerd is here.
What a shitload of
Another
fun.
game that I've gotten requests up the ass for over the years is A
Yabai
Boy and
dayo,
His
yabai
Blob.
dayo.
Here's the thing about it, I don't consider it a bad game, but I can understand why many would find it frustrating and boring. You control a boy and the blob character follows you around. You have a supply of jelly beans that if you feed to the blob, they all turn them into different kinds of tools. The whole fun of the game is figuring out what tool works best in the situation. I know it's annoying that the jelly beans don't even tell you what they do, but soon you catch on to the game's humor. For example, an apple jelly bean turns the blob into a jack. Get it? Applejack? It's a big guessing game and there's lots of trials and errors. Like if you need to go down, you never know where exactly to stand until after you've fallen to your doom a few times. The music is monotonous, there's not many enemies, there's lots of tedious running around, but it has a unique charm. I like the puzzle solving and that blob is a cool little guy, obedient like a dog. The game may be flawed, but the creativity and originality shines through. The Three Stooges. This has always been a huge request. I've dreaded this moment for a long time.
Ghostbusters
Wait, the
2?
Ghostbusters?
You're the wrong game. Hey, this looks like a kid's game.
Now that's funny.
You'll win, but so...
I've always been a big fan of the Three Stooges, but the game's charm ends right after the title screen. The plot involves an orphanage that's unable to pay its mortgage, so you're trying to raise money so that the kids have a place to live. That's sad. That's not a fun video game concept. It takes the idea of something that's too real. The game itself is nothing more than a bunch of mini games. You have no control over which one you play. You can't cancel them. Whatever you land on, you're forced to play it, and you can get the same one over and over again. It always seems like I end up getting the one where you eat the live oysters. All you do is move the spoon and scoop up the oysters. The spoon moves
it?
way too slow. It doesn't give you enough time before the oysters disappear and Curly makes an obnoxious sound.
Even your god,
I can't even
just scoop it
describe how
up.
much this all irritates me. I'm sick of playing it. I'm sick of looking at it. I hate staring at those oysters. They don't even look like oysters. They look like assholes. I'm not even trying to be funny. They really look like dogs' hairy assholes rising in the stew. What else could it look like? Then there's the part where you're in the hospital collecting red crosses. Mindless, but playable. There's the classic pie fight and the slapping thing. Self-explanatory enough. I don't know what all that shit is at the top. If it wasn't there, I assure you I wouldn't be confused. This is what you'd expect to see from the Three Stooges, but obviously the whole game couldn't just be the Three Stooges slapping each other in the alley the whole time. So they tried to give it some variety. The best part is the trivia. But what happened with the controls? You have multiple choice answers. To choose A, you hold left on the D-pad while pressing either the A or B button at the same time. To choose B, you hold up or down and hit the button. To choose C, you hold right and hit the button. Why couldn't it just be a simple selection screen? What kind of knuckleheads programmed it like this? Was this game actually made by the Three Stooges? The most annoying game of all is the one based on a specific Three Stooges short called Punch Drunks. In the short, Mo is a boxing manager who puts Curly in the ring to take advantage of his psychological complex that causes him to knock people out whenever he hears the song Pop Goes the Weasel. Larry is hired by Mo to sit ringside with a violin and play the song so that Curly can win the fight, but the violin breaks and now Curly has to go running to find an alternative. It's a great short, But with all that explanation, how much does the game tell you? Nothing. All you get is a shot of Larry holding the broken violin, and then the game starts and Larry's running around trying to find a radio. It's no wonder why nobody knew what the fuck to make of this. Even if kids in the 80s were familiar at all with the Three Stooges, what was the chance of them knowing a specific short from 1934? You control Larry on the bottom.
Wow.
There's no telling why Curly is at the top. The only reason any of this is up there is to show the time limit. But it's too elaborate and distracting. It only makes you wish you were playing the boxing part, instead of Larry running through an alley slamming into everything. That's all you do. You hit everything in sight. It's the equivalent of the first stage of Back to the Future 3 on Sega Genesis. By the way, who's the naked guy lying on the sidewalk?
Isn't that a dog? That's a person?
No matter what I do, I always hit the pole or the boxes in the background. And you can't run, or else you'll never see what's coming. Fuck this game. Moving into Super NES territory, let's take a look at Home Improvement. Yeah, that's right, based on the TV show. How do you take a family sitcom and turn it into a video game? Well, the plot starts out with Tim the Toolman Taylor on the set of his show Tool Time. Remember the show within the show? So his tools go missing and he has to go onto the sets of other shows to find them. Apparently, in the soundstage right next to Tool Time, they're filming some kind of dinosaur show. So the first stage is just a generic dinosaur platformer. If it's a show and the dinosaurs aren't real, then how are they attacking? I guess they're supposed to be animatronic or something? So, okay, it's a pretty ridiculous concept. We got that out of the way. At least we can hope the gameplay is decent, right? Yeah, it isn't. The weapons all suck, and breaking through these boulders is always a chore.
Oh no!
It's relentlessly difficult. Not many people have seen past this first stage, but it's said that they're all generic TV sets. You know, wouldn't it be cool if they were sets to real shows like Family Matters, Full House, or Dinosaurs? No more dinosaurs. You know what would be awesome? If you went on to the set of Home Improvement. Whoa. Wonder if Tim Allen ever played this game. Do you think he could beat this stage? How far could Tim Allen get in the Home Improvement video game? That's a question that needs answering. I'd give this game a better chance if I could read the instructions. The instructions might help, right? Yeah, guess what? There is none. Technically not. The manual opens up to a fake sticker printed over the pages that says real men don't need instructions. Very funny. Next up, Pit Fighter, commonly known as Shit Fighter, because it's the shittiest fighting game next to Karate Champ. When this game came out in the arcades, it looked awesome. It was one of the first games where the playable characters were real-life actors who have been digitized. I mean, really, this was a big deal at the time. Like, wow, they look like real people. Well, when the arcade version was eaten up and shat out onto the home consoles, it ended up looking like this. It's like cutout photographs fighting each other. And why they turn black and white when they lose? I guess color is life and black and white is death. As soon as Mortal Kombat came out, it made this game obsolete instantly. The big problem with it, the Super NES port at least, is that it's way too difficult. After each match, it doesn't replenish your health, nor do you get any continues. Nothing. One chance, one life meter, that's it. So you have to fight everybody in one long lucky streak of button mashing madness. As a kid, I never made it past the second guy. Even as a rental, it only made for about 15 minutes of playability, if that, before you turn it off and take it back to the video store. And I know it has to give you your health back at some point, but I've just made it to the fourth opponent, and still, they don't give you any health back. This is the worst Super NES game I've ever played. Worse than Super Noah's Ark 3D, worse than Shaq Fu, worse than Wizard of Oz, worse than Lester the Unlikely. I'm dead fucking serious. Even B-Mode Double Dragon was better than this, and that was on NES. Sure, it gets monotonous and awkward at times, and you can only play as the same characters fighting themselves, but it has much more fluent control and is way more fun than Pit Fighter.
And next up, a game that is probably my biggest request, aside from that other one about the fucking alien that falls in the pits. No. I'm talking about motherfucking Bubsy 3D.
What's
I
that?
don't even know who the hell Bubsy is.
Me
It's just
too.
some generic cat that doesn't wear pants. Not that cats wear pants anyway, but he's got a shirt, so where's his pants?
Yeah.
Bubsy was clearly intended as a mascot character like Sonic or Mario, but failed miserably. Nevertheless, a whole series of games was made and he crossed over to multiple consoles.
Bubsy.
Sega Genesis, Atari Jaguar, and Super NES, which even got a sequel. But
Oh,
the
wow.
biggest cat turd in the litter pan was the PlayStation version, the character's first venture into 3D, because everybody else was doing it.
So, you wanna be a video game star?
As the game begins, you're walking around collecting atoms. That's it. There's some
That's
enemies
it?
to kill, but not many, and they don't move. Basically,
move?
all you're doing is getting the atoms, much like flying through the rings in Superman 64. The first thing you'll
Aw,
notice
this
is how
3D,
boring the
kinda
graphics
like
look.
the-
There's no
Ooh.
style, no taste, no creative design whatsoever. Just flat colors and
3D is
bland
also giving
scenery.
me a motion
If you stare at it
sickness.
for more than 2 minutes, you get
Me too,
immediate
I suffer from
sensory
3D.
deprivation. You'd rather stare at a blank wall. About these atoms, you'd think it would be easy. Couldn't you just walk through them? Like Sonic or Mario going through coins or rings? No, you can't. To move, you're not allowed to simply hold the D-pad or joystick in that direction.
Why?
No. You have to painstakingly turn yourself from a
have to
standstill and
stop?
then move in the direction you're facing.
Oh my gosh! Pain tayo!
When trying to do something as simple as getting the items is a chore, then you really have a problem. It gets even worse when you're trying to jump on enemies. Every
Okay.
time you leap, the camera goes into a downward angle. In fact, you can't control the camera at all.
Oh,
it
shit.
usually locks into whatever direction you're facing, which may have seemed self-explanatory to the developers, but 3D games don't work that way. You need to control the camera.
True.
And whenever you get hit, the camera spins around to face you, which only causes you to get disoriented and get hit again. It would be just as much fun to
Oh,
sit in a swivel
shit.
chair while someone spins you around and keeps punching you in the face.
Oh,
That's what
that-
playing
oh
Bubsy
my
3D is
gosh.
like.
Yeah,
Like getting
right.
punched on a swivel chair. This seems as if it was the first 3D game ever made. But Super Mario 64 came before this, and that played perfectly.
That was
What
before
happened
this?
here? Even the blocks look like you can carve them out to make an N64 logo. Maybe it's just that I have Super Mario 64 on the brain because that's what I'd rather be playing. And to be even more annoying, Bubsy keeps talking.
Oh, look! An arrow! Aren't these game designers wonderful?
Yeah, I bet they thought they were clever. Overall, this game just feels unfinished. And what I really mean is that it's like it was barely
shit,
started at
no.
all. I thought this was a prototype of some sort, not an actual finished game that got
Oh,
released in
shit.
stores. It's a pile of junk.
Most of the games I own are junk. I'm hoarding junk. I surrounded myself with fucking garbage. All right, one more game, and then it's happy holidays and good fucking night. Let's end
Fucking
with
night.
Spider-Man Maximum
I'm using
Carnage
that.
on Super Nintendo. Everyone
fucking
says I
night,
should
Dale.
play this one, as if I haven't already
that
played
Venom?
enough Spider-Man games. They're all terrible, but maybe this one's okay. After all, I'm not sure how I missed it because it's one of the only Super NES games that's red.
It
Anyway, let's give it a try.
It's not Venom? Oh.
Well, the comic book cutscenes are quite nice.
Ha.
The gameplay, well, it's a beat-em-up game, monotonous,
Hi-ya.
but fun. The
Hi-ya.
controls are responsive, and the hit detection works
Thank you for
fine.
45
The
months.
sound
Welcome
effects are good.
back.
The punches and grunts you hear all lend themselves to the fun, stress-relieving nature of these kind of games. It just feels good when you hit things. You can climb up on buildings, which offers some variety and breaks up the monotony. It can be a little frustrating, but not too bad. And the music is upbeat and
Wait, what the heck
energizing.
is that? There's another Spider-Man?
And what do I hear?
Wait, there's